What was supposed to be a quiet charity gala suddenly turned into the most talked about night online, and not for the reason anyone expected. A last-minute appearance, viral red carpet moments, and a media storm that shifted the spotlight in hours. Was it coincidence, timing, or the power of celebrity attention at work? Stay with me, because the story behind this night only gets more surprising from here. The evening was meant to unfold like countless charity events before it, with soft lighting, polished speeches, and the quiet promise of positive headlines waiting to be written by morning. Yet long before the first guest stepped onto the carpet, the atmosphere had already begun to change, because anticipation has a way of building long before cameras start flashing, and sometimes the most significant shift happens in whispers before it ever reaches. The spotlight staff moved quickly through the venue, making final adjustments, smoothing tablecloths, aligning chairs, checking guest lists once and then again, because events of this scale are never left to chance and every detail is carefully timed. Yet even the most carefully planned schedule can bend when attention enters the room, and attention does not knock before it arrives, it simply appears, and everyone feels the shift at once. Conversations pause, glances turn, phones rise quietly above tables as though guided by instinct rather than instruction. And within moments the tone of the evening transforms from preparation into performance, because once the cameras begin to gather, the event becomes more than a celebration, it becomes a story waiting to be told. And in this era, stories move faster than the people inside them. Social media teams refresh screens, photographers check lighting, assistants exchange brief hurried updates, and somewhere in the background the music continues playing as though nothing unusual has happened, even though everything has changed, because the presence of attention brings with it an invisible current that reshapes the room without a single announcement. Guests begin to sense it in the air, the subtle energy that tells them this night may not unfold the way anyone originally expected. And this is how modern moments begin, not with grand declarations but with a ripple that spreads quietly from one corner of the room to another, until suddenly everyone feels it at once, the awareness that tonight will be remembered not simply for its purpose but for something else, something unscripted, something unpredictable. And as the first flashes echo across the entrance, the transformation becomes complete, because from this point forward the evening no longer belongs only to the organizers or the cause, it belongs to the audience watching from afar, the millions who will scroll through images within minutes, forming impressions, opinions, and interpretations before the final speech has even been written. And this is the reality of public life now, where every appearance becomes part of a larger narrative, and every narrative evolves in real time, shaped by the reactions of people who were never in the room yet feel as though they were present for every second. The red carpet stretches ahead like a stage, and with every step across it the story grows larger, more layered, more complex than anyone anticipated, and the guests understand this even if no one says it aloud, because the modern red carpet is not simply a walkway, it is a gateway into the endless cycle of attention, commentary, and interpretation that defines celebrity culture in the digital age, where seconds become headlines and headlines become debates that stretch far beyond the walls of the venue and into the endless conversation of the internet, where audiences wait, eager, curious, ready to interpret every glance, every movement, every detail. And the anticipation builds not through dramatic announcements but through the quiet rhythm of expectation that pulses through the crowd as the evening continues to unfold. Photographers call out directions, voices overlap, flashes brighten the entrance, and each arrival adds another layer to the growing narrative, because every entrance is a moment and every moment becomes part of the larger mosaic of the night. Guests greet one another with practiced warmth, laughter rises above the background music, and the event continues moving forward with the polished grace expected of occasions like this. Yet beneath the surface the awareness remains that something about the evening feels different, impossible to define yet unmistakable in its presence, because attention has a way of reshaping even the most familiar settings, turning routine into spectacle and spectacle into conversation and conversation into a story that will continue long after the lights dim and the final guests depart. The atmosphere becomes charged with the quiet knowledge that every step, every photograph, every exchange contributes to a narrative forming in real time beyond the walls of the venue, where audiences watch through screens, interpreting moments as they appear, shaping opinions before the night has even reached its midpoint. And this awareness transforms the event into something larger than its original purpose, a shared experience between those present and those observing from afar, connected through the invisible thread of A tension that binds modern audiences to the moments they witness through glowing screens and endless feeds, and as the evening progresses the realization settles that tonight will not simply be remembered as a gathering or a celebration but as a chapter in an ongoing story about visibility, perception, and the unpredictable nature of public life, where every appearance becomes a piece of a larger narrative unfolding without pause and without a clear ending, because the story continues as long as the audience keeps watching, and the audience is always watching, waiting, refreshing, scrolling, analyzing, reacting, and shaping the next wave of conversation that will carry the night far beyond the venue into the endless rhythm of the digital world, where moments never truly end, they simply transform into the next chapter of the story waiting to be told. As the evening moved forward, the rhythm of arrivals blended into a steady pulse of conversation and movement, and what had begun as a quiet gathering gradually transformed into something brighter, louder, and far more watched than anyone expected, because attention has a way of amplifying every detail. Once the cameras settle into place and the first images begin their journey across screens, the event takes on a second life, unfolding simultaneously in real time and online, where reactions appear within seconds and opinions begin forming long before the night has reached its peak. Guests move from one conversation to another, pausing for photographs, exchanging greetings, and sharing polite laughter, while somewhere beyond the walls a much larger audience watches from afar, constructing their own understanding of what the night represents and how it fits into the larger narrative of celebrity culture, philanthropy, and public visibility. Because modern events exist in two spaces at once: the physical room where the lights glow and the digital landscape where every image travels faster than the sound of applause. And in this dual reality, the smallest detail can become the center of attention for reasons no one predicted. Photographers adjust their angles, capturing expressions mid-conversation. Stylists observe quietly, noting how fabric moves under the lights. Publicists exchange quick glances, confirming that schedules remain intact. And yet beneath this carefully maintained surface, the awareness grows that the evening has taken on a momentum of its own, something organic, unpredictable, and impossible to fully control. Because once a story begins spreading online, it evolves according to the curiosity of the audience, and curiosity rarely follows the path originally planned by organizers or guests alike. Discussions begin appearing across social platforms. Viewers analyze outfits, gestures, posture, and interactions, searching for meaning in moments that might once have passed unnoticed, and the conversation expands not because of official announcements but because of the collective energy of people who feel connected to the event through the simple act of watching and reacting. And as this digital conversation grows, it feeds back into the atmosphere of the venue itself, creating a loop of attention where the online audience influences the mood inside the room, and the mood inside the room generates new content for the online audience to interpret, and the cycle continues, building momentum with every passing minute. Speeches are delivered, applause rises and fades, and the evening moves forward according to its schedule. Yet the sense of heightened awareness never disappears, because everyone present understands that tonight will be remembered not only for its purpose but for the way it captured the imagination of viewers beyond the walls of the venue. And this understanding shapes the energy of the night in subtle ways. Conversations linger a little longer, photographs become a little more deliberate, and every movement carries the quiet recognition that the audience watching from afar is part of the experience, shaping how the event will be remembered, discussed, and interpreted in the days that follow. Because the digital age has transformed public gatherings into shared experiences that extend far beyond the physical space where they occur, and the people inside the room move through the evening aware that each moment contributes to a larger narrative unfolding in real time across countless screens. And as the night continues, the boundary between event and story grows increasingly blurred until the two become inseparable, and the gathering becomes not just a celebration but a chapter in the ongoing conversation about fame, visibility, and the ever-evolving relationship between public figures and the audiences who watch them so closely. As the night faded and the final flashes softened into silence, the story did not end, it simply moved into its next phase, because that is the nature of modern public life, where the closing of an event rarely signals the closing of the narrative. Instead, the real conversation begins afterward, in comment sections, discussion panels, and endless social media threads, where viewers revisit every image, every gesture, and every moment, searching for meaning that may or may not have existed in real time. What remains is not just the memory of a gala or a single appearance, but a broader reflection of how attention works in an era defined by constant connection. The evening became a reminder that Visibility can transform even the most carefully planned event into something far larger than its original purpose, and once that transformation begins, it takes on a life of its own, shaped by millions of perspectives and interpretations. In the days that followed, the conversation continued to grow, not because of official statements or formal press releases, but because audiences remain endlessly fascinated by the intersection of celebrity, philanthropy, media coverage, and public perception. Every appearance becomes part of a larger story about identity, influence, and the expectations placed on people living in the spotlight. Supporters celebrate, critics question, observers analyze, and the dialogue continues, evolving with each new perspective added to the mix. This ongoing cycle is not unique to one event or one individual. It reflects the broader reality of fame in a digital world where the audience participates as actively as the subjects themselves, shaping narratives in real time and ensuring that the story never truly stops moving. What this moment ultimately revealed is how quickly focus can shift and how easily the spotlight can move from purpose to personality, from mission to media moment. The cause that brought everyone together still matters, and the work behind it continues long after the cameras disappear. Yet the conversation that followed reminds us that attention is a powerful force capable of reshaping how events are remembered and discussed. The balance between intention and perception, between purpose and publicity, is delicate and constantly evolving, and navigating that balance has become one of the defining challenges of modern public life. As the cycle continues, the audience keeps watching, waiting for the next appearance, the next headline, the next chapter in a story that never fully concludes, because in today's world the narrative does not end when the lights go out. It pauses, gathers momentum, and then begins again, shaped by the voices of millions who remain captivated by the ever-changing relationship between fame, media, and the stories we tell about the moments that capture our collective attention. What started as a single appearance became a reminder of how fast the spotlight can change direction in the digital age, where every frame becomes content and every moment becomes a narrative shaped by millions of voices online. Whether the attention was expected or accidental, the result was undeniable. The conversation moved far beyond the event itself and into a broader discussion about fame, media, and perception. And as the cycle continues, the audience keeps watching, because in today's world the story never really ends. It simply pauses until the next moment arrives.